Shane McMahon and Triple H are on the outs with WWE. Vince McMahon has pushed his son and son-in-law out of the company. While Triple H is still part of the promotion, given the way NXT and all the work that Triple H did was decimated, it's safe to assume he's not in too good of a position. It's a shame given the vision that Hunter had for the company, as it would see him lead the promotion become a superpower while also keeping it relevant for the modern audience, something that Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and their cohort of writers have failed to do. As if pushing Triple H to the sidelines during his time in recovery was not enough, Vince has fired most of the wrestlers he valued. He has not stuck only to wrestlers but fired staff, including wrestling legend and beloved part of NXT, William Regal. The brand looks more off balance now than ever with no Regal. On the other side of things, Shane McMahon's ego led him to return and make the Royal Rumble all about himself, burying others backstage, including other WWE producers like Jamie Noble. The backlash for this year's boring Rumble was severe, and together with the heat that Shane had, this led him to being released. The two have enough experience between them to get an investor. This is Wrestling Up, and here's what would happen if Triple H and Shane McMahon started their own wrestling promotion. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official, and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. As stated, Triple H and Shane, with their experience, should have no issues getting investors. The two have worked together, and the reason the previous Rumbles were so much fun was because of their combined work. Triple H would likely have the support of Stephanie McMahon, who can't be too happy with the way her father has treated her husband and brother. Being the chief brand officer in WWE is not an easy job, and she could use her contacts in the corporate sector to find investors. Unlike other promotions, this would not need to start on a small scale and work its way up. Instead, the presence of Triple H and Shane would immediately not only put them on the map, but make them one of the most desired wrestling promotions to work for. Shane and Triple H are men with opposite mentalities. Neither is quite in awe of the other despite the status they possess. When it comes to respecting the wrestling industry, they have their own fan bases. While over the course of his wrestling career, Triple H caused a lot of people and fans to hate him, since taking a step back and working backstage, he has gained back a lot of that fan base. His work on NXT was a breath of fresh air when there appeared to be no hope for anyone in the company. He showcased that he understood what the wrestling business was about and pushed the right people. Shane McMahon, on the other hand, has proven there's no risk he won't take in WWE. His easy assurance has only been obscured by the fact that he is obsessed with putting himself over at the cost of others. Had it not been for this vice, he would be in a better place instead of being released. The personalities are relevant when it comes to managing people, so a combination could ensure that wrestlers are pushed, but not without the company being put over as well. In many ways, this alone could guarantee them the survival of a promotion. However, while their differences ensure balance, there's always one danger. The two don't always get along. In fact, there have been multiple falling outs between them over the years, and one of them apparently was partially the reason for Shane's absence from WWE, according to veteran wrestling referee Mike Chioda. Yes, Shane advised Triple H against dating Stephanie. Shane McMahon did. That's why the feud fell out, that's for sure. It was a thing from Vince Sr. that came around many years ago. They didn't want anybody dating talent, none of the kids and none of their family. He didn't want them taking bumps, which that didn't happen. I think Shane really had a big part of that, and that's why Shane and Triple H had a falling out for many years, and that's why Shane was exiled for 10 years. Triple H has built a following unlike any other, and the wrestlers who have a loyalty to him don't blame him for how they were treated by the company. They know that he fought tooth and nail for their rights and their careers. Many of these wrestlers who owe him their allegiance are still a part of the company, while a number of wrestlers have been released. With just released talent and others who might get out of their contracts soon, Triple H could hire the likes of Bray Wyatt, Samoa Joe, Johnny Gargano, Carlito, Breezango, John Morrison, Braun Strowman, Big Cass, Killer Cross, Killian Dane, Mickey James, Mia Yim, Sarah Logan, Scarlett Bordeaux, and more. For staff, he could hire any number of wrestling veterans not working with the company, while also bringing in William Regal. As if that was not enough, in future years after more wrestlers can get out of WWE, Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa, and others could be more than willing to work for him. Thanks to WWE's releases, this might be one of the best things they can do, as a lot of top-level stars are still not signed anywhere. One major mistake Triple H and others made in WWE over the last 5 to 10 years is they decided just because they were expanding, they should hire as many wrestlers as they could. While having a few extra wrestlers around is a good idea, in some instances it does more harm. WWE became too bloated and could not function efficiently. Scouting for talent, Triple H was perhaps a bit too ambitious and gave away too many contracts. The company was suffering in many departments. As that many wrestlers signed meant there were stars sitting around collecting a paycheck. In the middle of this, the firings have made it obvious just how many extra names the company had. Triple H and Shane will learn from that experience and will look to avoid old mistakes. Instead of hiring more wrestlers to fill up their limited number of spots, they might be better off hiring fewer and then signing them as time goes on. Even Chris Jericho mentioned the WWE roster having too many wrestlers, saying it's different. We're not doing it that way where anyone who doesn't like what they're doing in WWE is automatically guaranteed a job in AEW. We will look at every talent on an individual basis. There's some guys we'd love to have in WWE and there's some guys we probably wouldn't take. Obviously, we haven't even had a show yet, and our roster is already very deep. When you talk about the Double or Nothing show, how many people can you book on that show? If you have 60 to 70 guys, you end up with the same problem as WWE. Thanks to the WWE releases, the AEW roster has become bloated as well. AEW is now working furiously to fix these issues, and quite a few stars have been let go, with rumors of more releases. If there's one guarantee if Shane McMahon and Triple H start a rival promotion, it's that Vince McMahon will be throwing fire around in WWE. Naturally, he will not be happy about family members stepping up to compete with him. On top of that, if Stephanie chooses to stay in WWE, she'll be the one to suffer his wrath. But more than that, he will then stop at nothing to destroy Triple H and Shane's company. When AEW came around, Vince didn't take it seriously because despite the backing of Tony Khan's father, it was mostly going to be independent wrestlers who were not that well known being signed. It was only later when the ratings in the show were revealed that he started to see the issues. But when it would be Triple H and Shane, he would see it as an insult immediately, and would then do anything to squash that promotion. One of the sure things that would be hampered by Triple H and Shane starting a wrestling promotion would be that Triple H and Stephanie would have a lot of issues. In fact, it's a reason Triple H may never turn his back on WWE, because he knows how much that would hurt Stephanie, with Vince blaming her for his decisions. As said by Vince Russo, Vince McMahon is already competitive with his daughter's feelings. She winds up marrying a wrestler and Vince said that would never ever happen. Vince is a very vindictive human being. Kevin Nash tells stories of literally ribbing Vince at the wedding and saying, "DX got over on you, man. They got you." Now, Kevin might think he's kidding around, but to Vince, who is very vindictive, yeah, you did get me. I never wanted my daughter to marry a wrestler. So now you've got a very competitive environment. You've got a daddy and a husband vying for the love of the daughter. On top of this competition, if Triple H was posing a threat to WWE, Vince would not take it well. There are a few wrestlers that Vince McMahon has an amazing relationship with, and Shawn Michaels is probably at the top of this list. Jim Ross and other veterans backstage have talked about how much Vince cared about Michaels. When Michaels was out with an injury, Vince made sure that he got paid throughout. I don't know if it was pressure from Vince or not. Vince loved him. It's proven. We paid Shawn $750,000 a year for about 4 years to do nothing, because he was Vince's guy. Every time we go over budgets and things, where are we at with the Shawn contract? Nothing, leave it alone. Okay. However, Michaels has one man that he calls his best friend, and that's Triple H. As a result, if Triple H was to leave the company and start his own with Shane, Michaels would leave his position in WWE to join him. As a result, the NXT leadership would go through another change. This time, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard themselves would do everything to prove their booking could make the new version of the brand stand out. If the brand didn't work, then it would be shut down by WWE, ending NXT once and for all, killing the invention of Triple H. There's definitely animosity between AEW and WWE. That much has been made clear through any of the multiple shots that the promotions have taken at each other. However, with Impact Wrestling, it appears WWE no longer cares about maintaining themselves away from other brands. WWE allowed Mickie James to appear at the Rumble and wear the Impact Knockouts title. It was the first clear picture that given the right circumstances, WWE was willing to work with other companies. Still, if there's one person who would love this system even more, it's Triple H. He's openly spoken about working with other promotions, and Kenny Omega Omega has said that given the right opportunity, AEW would be open to it as well. Given that for a new promotion a relationship with AEW would be the most beneficial, it's likely Triple H and Shane would not shy away from working with AEW. Tony Khan recently talked about his interest in working with Shane. I'd certainly take the call. I'm sure he'd be an interesting person to talk to about wrestling. I'm not sure exactly if he would be a fit. I have not heard from him, and I don't expect to hear from him, but in this business, you never know. Vince McMahon and his team believe wrestling is only a show and there should not be any actual athletic ability needed. They write comedy shows, and that's one of the reasons WWE has been losing the hardcore audience. On the other side of things, there's AEW. While AEW has improved in the aspect of not being only wrestling but also storytelling, they could not do it at the same level as NXT did in their prime. With a balance struck between Triple H and Shane McMahon's opposing mentalities, the wrestling would have both sports entertainment and the actual wrestling fans want. This would make it a very attractive product, and would bring in more fans. And at the same time, it would increase the popularity of wrestling altogether, as the competition would force all three of the top promotions to step up. And this is what would happen if Shane McMahon and Triple H started their own wrestling promotion. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.